Mildred Pearson?
Whatever you're selling, young man, I'm not interested.
Don't worry, ma'am. I'm not selling anything.
Well, who are you then?
Sorry. Let me introduce myself. My name is Simon Delaroche.
Did you hear that gunshot?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see where it was coming from?
No, ma'am. But it sounded like he was coming from that way.
I wonder if it was those lousy kids. They're always getting into trouble.
That's not a good idea, ma'am. It's safer inside.
You're probably right. Maybe I should call the police.
Sounds reasonable.
It's not ringing.
Maybe they hit a cell tower.
Is there one even near here? Well, it isn't safe for you out there either. What are you doing here anyway?
I was just wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
But you're not selling anything, and that includes religion?
Don't worry, ma'am. Just a few questions and I'll be out of here. I have an assignment to do an interview on you.
Right now? Shouldn't you be in school?
It was an early release day. Besides, I was supposed to interview you a few months ago when you were in the hospital, but you recovered so quickly that the timing just didn't match up.
How do you know about that?
My boss thought that would make an interesting story.
Your boss? Just who is your boss? How old are you anyway?
15. I write for the newspaper. You know, human interest type stories.
I've never seen those stories in the paper.
It's a new column. May I come in? Like you said, it is safer inside.
Of course. Come on in.
So let's get right into this. Your name is Mildred Pearson. You're 64 years old, and you retired as a seamstress 4 years ago.
How do you know about that?
I get it all from my boss.
How does he know about that? And who is this boss you speak of?
I'll give you his card when we're done here. I give it to all my interviewees. Is that okay?
Okay, let's just get this over with.
Okay. First, tell me about your family.
I don't have any family.
I thought that might be the case. I didn't see any photos on my way in. So, do you have any children?
No, my husband and I tried for years, but it just didn't happen for us.
Sorry. It's been a very trying time for you.
Yes, it was.
So you have no children, and your husband has passed away?
Just this past year.
You have my condolences.
Thank you.
What about your nephew, Bart?
He might as well be dead.
Why's that?
He married how should I put this? An exotic dancer.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
You know, a stripper.
No. How does that mean that he might as well be dead?
My nephew was like a son to me. As a matter of fact, I'm his godmother.
Really?
He was a smart kid, a great kid. He graduated third in his class at UCLA. He was going to be a lawyer. And then he met that girl.
The exotic dancer?
Yeah, all of a sudden he ditches his plans and focuses on her plans and making them happen.
So how did they meet?
law school.
But I thought that she was an exotic dancer.
That's how she put herself through law school. It's disgusting.
Does she still work in that profession?
I don't know. I quit talking to him as soon as I found out he married her.
Don't you think it's worth finding out?
Well, perhaps so.
I just feel that, if he's the last living relative that you have, then it's worth finding out and salvaging the relationship before it's too late.
Oh, maybe. I'll give it some thought.
Okay, moving on. Now that you've retired, what do you do with your spare time?
I like to help St. Anne's Theater. I make some of the clothes, and I help with the fittings.
That's a very thoughtful way to spend your time.
Thank you.
Is St. Anne's where you went to school?
Oh, no. I went to Sunnyview, class of 1972.
Why don't you help out with their theater program?
No, that school has gone to the dogs since I left. Kids are all rowdy, and I drive past there on my way to St. Anne's. They run into the street like maniacs. I don't see that kind of behavior at St. Anne's. And I hear they do drugs.
Why do you think it is the cause of it?
I think, it's their parents. They just don't care.
It sounds like to me as though that they could use a better adult figure in their life.
Exactly.
Like you? Okay. We only have just a few more questions. What is the happiest moment of your life?
Oh, that had to be when I got married. It was a beautiful ceremony. The church was decorated so beautifully. The bridesmaids' dresses were impeccably done. And Gerald looked so handsome in his tuxedo.
I can almost picture it myself.
Maybe someday you'll get to experience it too.
What else do you remember about that day?
I remember exchanging vows with Gerald. I remember thinking to myself, this is the best decision I've ever made. He was truly one of a kind.
I'm sure that he was a wonderful person.
Yes. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss him.
So, now that you've talked about your happiest moment, what's the proudest moment of your life?
Proudest moment. I would have to say that was last year when St. Anne's recognized me for my contributions. It was, I had almost said that about my happiest memory.
That was very nice of them.
Yes, it was the end of the year, and I got to go on stage and shake the hand of the Monsignor.
How did that make you feel?
Fantastic. Finally, my hard work had been realized.
Wow. And you've been volunteering there for how long?
For 3 years. The funny thing is that I almost quit just before the ceremony.
You did?
Yes. It was like I enjoyed the work, but it all just seemed like it wasn't worth anything. I didn't hear thank you very often at all.
I'm sure that they said thank you before.
Oh, once or twice, maybe, I don't know.
But even if they did, I'm sure that it couldn't even compare to the feeling of being on stage.
Oh, absolutely not. That was the best.
I forgot to ask this earlier, but how did you end up volunteering there?
Well, actually, it was supposed to be a paid position.
Oh?
One of the mothers, who was a client of mine at the time, asked me to help her fix the costume for her daughter, and she would pay me, and I said, sure. So I fixed the costume. The other parents noticed and thought that my work was really exceptional, and I couldn't very well fix theirs and ask them to pay me, and asking for money just seemed kind of cheesy, so you can't just pick one and favor that one.
Yeah, because if you say no to one of them, then it seems like you're playing favorites.
That's exactly right.
And so the theater director wanted you to stay on after the success of the show?
She said that I had done a good job and that the productions wouldn't be the same without my contributions.
So you stayed on more for necessity than anything else?
I think that's, yes, a fair answer.
Okay. One last question, and then I'll be out of your hair. Do you stand by everything that you've done?
That's rather broad, don't you think?
Let's put it in a different way. If you were to die, would you go to heaven?
Well, of course. Why shouldn't I?
Let's see. You don't speak to your only living relative because you disapprove of who he married. Your proudest moment was receiving an award for volunteer work because it made you look good. And you only do said volunteer work at the private school because you feel that the local public school isn't worthy of your time. Do I have that right?
And you think that's worthy of hell?
I don't see it worthy of heaven.
You're much too young to judge me.
Unfortunately, Mildred, it's my job to judge you.
Was that little newspaper article?
Goes far beyond that.
I think it's time for you to leave.
Don't do this, Mildred. There's still time.
You don't know anything about me. How could you possibly, by asking a few questions of me, know anything about my character and how I am? I've done good deeds, but you didn't ask me about any of those, Simon.
Doing a good deed isn't always newsworthy. I'm interested in the intent behind said good deed.
So let me get this right. So, because I do good deeds, with the wrong intention, that makes it bad?
Everything is so black and white with you, Mildred. I don't think that you're a bad person. If you were, you wouldn't be speaking with me.
Time for you to go.
All right, Mildred. I'll give you my boss's card, just like I promised. Just answer me one last question before I leave.
All right.
Do you regret anything in your life?
Yes.
What part?
My nephew. You're right. He's the only living relative I have, and that's the one thing I regret, not talking to him.
And that makes all the difference. Thank you, Mildred. I'll be leaving now.
Simon, your boss's information, please.
Oh, right, I almost forgot. Wait, sorry, this is the wrong one. Thank you for talking with me, Mildred.
Have a good day.
Maybe one day our paths will cross again.
But wait, this isn't a business card.